First the fat boys break up, and hey there I wake up, somebody got a problem with hope. Listen, first the fat boys break up, boxing continues to show the dark side of boxing. Tevin Farmer, who I believe was cheated of a victory, lets us know the dark side of boxing in a brand new tweet. Tevin Farmer, after his loss to William Zepeda, again, I thought he won the fight. I have a whole post-fight breakdown. Check that on the channel where I went detailed on what happened in the fight in case you missed it or in case you want my thoughts on that. So definitely check out that video for more on that. In this video, I'll just kind of give you guys the cliff notes. So thought Tevin Farmer won, but now he comes out with this. He says, "Why wasn't me and William Zepeda drug tested? ? I asked multiple times in the locker room before we fought. They said after the fight, and still no test. I'm just saying, boxing is dirty. You never know. Thank you to all my supporters. Prayer hands up." Wow. Now, this definitely doesn't look good. You have Tevin Farmer, who, again, I think he did enough to win the fight. He dropped William Zepeda, so you can even say he exposed William Zepeda, because let's be real, William Zepeda, going into this fight, he was supposed to be, this big bad wolf. He was supposed to be the Terminator, and he had been stopping guys. He had a bunch of stoppages in the row. Tevin Farmer has been stopped before. Tevin Farmer, he's one of those, Tevin Farmer, and I'm not trying to single out Philly fighters, but Philly fighters, they have Gabe Rosado and Tevin Farmer, and there's certain people, it's not just Philly, but there's certain people in this boxing game where their records really do not reflect who they are as fighters. Because if you know boxing, you'll know that Gabe Rosado, some of the fights they said he lost, he really should have won, right? If you know boxing, you got the Tevin Farmer that says he lost to William Zepeda. Again, I think he should have won. So boxing is not necessarily great for that. You got guys like Jose El Rayo Valenzuela. The record shows that he lost one to Chris Colbert, and then he won one versus Chris Colbert by brutal knockout. But the first fight, he really won that too. So really, he should be 2-0 versus Chris Primetime Colbert, but his record says something different. So you can't really, you know how they say don't judge a book by its cover? My saying is don't judge a boxer by his record, because there's guys, like I said, there's like Randall Baileys and Darnell Boones and certain guys where you can sleep on them if you want, but if you don't fight them the right way, they'll come in and upset the apple cart, and they've done it, and they continue to do it, throughout their careers. Like when Randall Bailey knocked out Mike Jones, who was a hot prospect at that time, So Tevin Farmer is better than his record suggests. Like he's a good fighter. William Zepeda, on the other hand, undefeated. It was Golden Boy Latino night, and he's a Latino. He's Mexican, and they told you throughout the promo for this fight that Shakur Stevenson would be the next task. Your boy Ego, the best in the business, and it's not even close. I told you, fighting Tevin Farmer before Shakur was a mistake. Some of y'all said I was tripping because you said William Zepeda is going to tear through Tevin Farmer. And I told you, from a business perspective, if you are trying to make a mega fight or a big fight, right, with William Zepeda and Shakur Stevenson in February, you don't want to give him too tall of an order to the point where it spoils or hurts his stock before you enter the Shakur fight. Or you don't want to put him in with Shakur and then he had a suspect performance, which he did have a suspect performance. Now Shakur's taking notes and he tweeting like this guy's food. So this was dumb from Golden Boy, and I told you it was dumb before the fight because I'm the best in the business. I knew this fight. William Zepeda, he's fought a lot of guys that are on the backside of their career, maybe inexperienced, maybe have no power, or they don't fight like Tevin Farmer, and they dang sure don't fight like Shakur Stevenson. They're not these like American styles. He's beating guys like Maxie Hughes and stuff like that. That's a domestic level guy who beat George Kambosos, but George Kambosos had 2 losses to Devin Haney before that. So William Zepeda, I wasn't really impressed with a lot of the names that he had on his record because, you know, Giovanni Cabrera, he's a good fighter. He gave Pitbull Cruz issue, but styles make fights. Pitbull Cruz is like 5'4" and a different style. William Zepeda is the Energizer Bunny that throws volume of punches. So Golden Boy, they were moving him by putting him in with, you know, Jaime Arboleda, guy that Chris Colbert already beat, Joseph Jojo Diaz, a guy who's like really in the last chapter of his career, and he has several losses. Jojo Diaz has like 7 losses, 3 losses in a row. You know, in his last several fights, he's won like 1 fight in probably like his last 8. So William Zepeda beating him is, you know, is not really anything. But I know Tevin Farmer, and I know he's a good fighter. But now with Tevin Farmer coming out saying they didn't do any drug testing in Saudi, it looks pretty bad, I will say. Another reason it looks bad is because you have a guy like William Zepeda who got dropped, and he's throwing 1,000,000 punches, right? He's throwing 1,000,000 punches. You would want some drug testing because guys, if you take EPO, that's something where you have unlimited stamina, or you have more than, you're not going to get tired the same as someone who's on nothing, you know? And that's a bad look. That's a bad look because it just looks suspicious. You're in another country, right? You're in Saudi. It's Latino night. They told you that the Shakur fight was next. Tevin says he's asking, hey, what's up with the drug test? And then they said, we're going to get to it. And then they didn't do it. And then he has a fake loss to William Zepeda, and he really should have won. So bad news for Golden Boy, you know, bad news for Latino night in Riyadh season. This is not how you want to enter the Shakur Stevenson fight. And remember, I made a video, Shakur Stevenson, he's like, oh, we could fight in a small ring. And I'm like, Shakur should probably chill with that, because it's not that he's not capable. It's not that he's not skilled, but you got to understand, just like Tevin Farmer is saying, boxing is grimy. Boxing is corrupt. Boxing is a dangerous sport as is. Plus there's a lot of politics, and there's even underhanded things that happen in the sport of boxing. So I told you in that video about Shakur Stevenson, he should be mindful of that and don't just be on wax accepting a tiny ring. Because look at Tevin Farmer. He went and fought on Latino night. He went and fought in another country, right? He went and fought knowing that they have another fight that they're trying to make for February with Shakur Stevenson. He really should have won, and then they robbed him. And then on top of that, you got a man throwing 1,000,000 punches, and then Tevin Farmer, let him tell it. He's saying they did no drug testing. So I don't know if they did drug testing throughout the training camp, but they definitely didn't do fight week or fight night drug testing. And it's funny because a Golden Boy fighter, Ryan Garcia, that's where he got caught versus Devin Haney with the Osterine. He didn't get caught in training camp. He had something in his system during the fight week. He had 3 failed tests before the Devin Haney fight, you know, day before the fight, day of the fight, etc. So that looks very fishy. Now you hear what Boxing Ego be saying in these videos. It makes a lot of sense. And I told you, Shakur Stevenson, he got to be mindful of this. Agreeing to a tiny ring, you got to make sure that drug testing is being enforced. You know, I don't really like when fighters are like, I don't care, like what Keith Thurman did to Pacquiao. He said, I don't care if he's on something, I'll fight him anyway. Yeah, and then when Pacquiao sits you down in the first round, you look goofy. I believe in fairness and, you know, clean sport. I've always stood by that. I don't cheat. I don't do anything underhanded on my channel. You know, I'm straight up and down, you know, give you the news, things like that. So this should definitely be looked at and enforced. And word to the wise for Shakur, he should definitely get with Eddie Hearn, who is promoting his next 2 fights, and get with this promoter and ensure that precautions are taken to protect the integrity of the fighter. Because for me, if the fight is on the up and up and they do stringent drug testing, I don't think Shakur loses to William Zepeda because of what I've seen throughout his career, but especially versus Tevin Farmer. This was supposed to be like your test, your guinea pig before you get to Shakur Stevenson, and you did not pass with flying colors, right? You had, I guess, a similar, even though Shakur and Tevin don't really fight alike, there are some similarities in terms of they both have offense, but they have defense in their bag too. Not like Jojo Diaz or Maxie Hughes or Giovanni Cabrera, guys that are going to stand in front of you. You know what I mean? Rene Alvarado and these kind of guys. Hector Tanadea, like these guys are going to stand in front of you. That's their style. So you were supposed to show us a preview almost. And then you didn't really handle Tevin Farmer. You had way too many problems with him. And Tevin Farmer is not even known as a massive puncher, and he sat you down. You got dropped in round 4. So, like I said, word to the wise, Shakur and his team need to heed the warning, because Tevin Farmer, his record is already like blemished up. Now he has 7 losses and things like that. It shows that he has back-to-back losses because he's a road warrior. He fought on Golden Boy card in Saudi Arabia and Latino night against a Latino. Before that, his other loss with Ray Murataya, he fought on a top rank card. And, you know, boxing, it doesn't treat a lot of people like fairly unless you have the stature and a great team behind you. So Shakur, he's at a different position than Tevin Farmer in his career, where he's undefeated, and he has, I would imagine, a bit more pull, and he has an actual promoter, like a bigger name promoter like Eddie Hearn. So they need to look into this, because the drug testing should have been automatic. Especially, we're talking about the fight was for the WBC interim. So what happened? I thought the WBC had the clean boxing program. Lastly, it's rather funny that a lot of boxing pundits and boxing media people, they kept saying that Saudi, the kingdom of Saudi Arabia, is the new hotbed for boxing, and this is great, and Turkey got all the money and stuff like that. But this is the dark side of boxing. Fights happening in different countries, fights happening in other regions where they don't really they're not known for a big commission. Like, you come to America, the New York State Athletic Commission, the Nevada State Athletic Commission, the California State Athletic Commission, they're strict. But if you go and fight in Turkey or fight in Saudi Arabia or even the UK, who knows what those commissions will do? We've seen like the UK commission allowed Dillian White to fight against Oscar Rivas, and unbeknownst to Rivas and his team, Dillian White had failed a PED test, and they didn't even tell him. So again, that's the danger when you fight abroad. You don't know what other people's commissions are going to do, and some of them definitely aren't as strict as what we have here in the States, right? And Shakur is an American fighter from the USA. I also see a lot of glove snafus, like in the UK, where fighters will say, oh, the gloves he chose aren't the glove he's wearing. Usyk had a glove issue, I think, with Derek Chisora, you know, things like that. So Shakur should definitely be on the lookout for this type of stuff. Learn from Tevin Farmer. Even if you think you beat William Zepeda, no matter what, it's still stupid. Ask Floyd Mayweather. You know what I mean? You don't want to underestimate, because William Zepeda looked like he had a battery. He got dropped and he's just throwing a million punches, you know? But again, you guys praise like, oh, Saudi Arabia, and it's the new hotbed, but you didn't analyze things like this. What happened to the drug testing? Is it being conducted? According to Tevin Farmer, he says no. So I think that's a big concern that more people should be talking about.